To blame cholesterol for heart disease is like blaming the fire trucks for the fire. It's like blaming the ambulances for the accidents. Well, they must have caused it. Have you noticed that they're always there? Can you see that reasoning? That is the #1 cause of heart disease. That is the #1 cause of a stroke, is this little blockage here from the movement of the combination of the glucose and the protein making its sticky molecules. On a low carbohydrate diet, you haven't got that process happening.
This is Barbara O'Neill, a famous health expert known worldwide. She strongly supports holistic and natural health, with many testimonials backing her methods. In this video, we're diving into a subject that usually gets a lot of negativity: cholesterol. Many people think cholesterol is the enemy, but it actually has some important jobs in our bodies. Believe it or not, around 70% of folks have cholesterol levels that need some attention to keep them feeling their best. We're going to explore what cholesterol does, how it affects your health, and share some handy tips for managing it. Get ready to have your mind blown as we reveal the real story behind this vital substance in our bodies. Stick around.
So let's have a look at cholesterol. It's a good time to look at it because the liver makes cholesterol. And by the way, it makes cholesterol according to the demand our body puts on it. And 80% of the cholesterol that the liver makes is made from glucose. And 20% of the cholesterol that the liver makes is made from fat. Now, this information tells us straight away it's not the butter on the bread, it's the bread under the butter that's the problem. And that's what Atkins found. So let's have a look at cholesterol. There are two main types. One is high-density lipoprotein called HDL, high-density lipoprotein, and LDL. HDL is usually called the good guy, and the reason for that is it's the carrier. So it carries excess cholesterol from the blood back into the liver. That's why it's called the good guy. LDL is called the bad guy. But what you've got to remember is the body doesn't make anything bad. It has a role. So what is its role? Its role is that of a repairer and a rebuilder. So wherever there's damage, you're going to find LDL because it's the repairer and the rebuilder. But it plays another role. It delivers cholesterol to the brain because the brain loves cholesterol. Cholesterol to the brain. Now let me show you something briefly. We're going to look at this in further detail later. Glucose burns at 4 calories per gram. A calorie is a unit of energy. That's what glucose burns at. Whereas fat burns at 9 calories per gram. Can you see why the brain loves fat? Because fat is going to give more than twice the units of energy, and our brain cells, they're consuming fuel fast. Let's have a look at the blood vessel and how the cholesterol works in the blood vessel. Because of its low density, LDL is always on the edge. Because of its high density, HDL is always in the middle. Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride, who wrote the book Put Your Heart in Your Mouth, she spends the first 4 chapters of her book defining what damages the arterial wall. See, the arterial walls are lined with little endothelium cells, and chemicals damage them. Heavy metals damage them. There's your mercuries. Also, what damages them is mold. And we're exposed to, she defines, the reason why it's 4 chapters, she defines all the different chemicals. They're in toothpaste, they're in food. What's going to plug the holes up, students? The LDL cholesterol, that's its role, that's its job. So it comes along and it plugs up. If it doesn't plug the hole up, we would bleed into the tissues. Can you see that? Mm-hmm. So they're like the Band-Aid. But the person doesn't realise that the mouldy house is killing them. The person doesn't realise the 4,000 chemicals that are in a cigarette. So they keep smoking. They don't realise the danger in their washing detergents, in their toothpaste. So can you see that it's still happening? and they read an article that says, no, mercury does not kill you at all. Well, they haven't read the science. You know, it's a neurotoxin. Can you see what's happening? Something else is happening. So all through the bloodstream, we've got little molecules of protein. When a person is on a high carbohydrate diet, releasing a lot of glucose into the glucose connects with the protein molecules, and these little combinations become sticky and they stick. And let's say we've got a narrow piece here and they come along and oops, they've caused a blockage. That is the number one cause of heart disease. That is the number one cause of a stroke.
Blockages from sticky glucose and protein molecules are a major factor in heart disease and strokes. HDL, the good cholesterol, acts like a cleanup crew, returning extra cholesterol to the liver. LDL, the bad cholesterol, helps with repairs but can cause plaque buildup if too high, narrowing arteries and increasing heart risks.
Right. I had a lady and a man attend my programs in New Zealand. I think that was about 2 years ago. They were in their early 70s. Tuesday night I spoke on heart disease, where I revealed what's happening with cholesterol, the truth on cholesterol. They came to me on Thursday. They said, we need to talk to you. I said, yes. The man looked at his wife and she just had her head down. He said, we're about to put my wife in aged care. He said she was leaving the iron on. We got to the point where we won't be able to handle her. He said, we came to your lecture and we heard what the cholesterol-lowering medication does. She's been on it for 10 years. It was Lipitor. There's a whole book written on the dangers of Lipitor. He said, so we stopped because they heard me say there will be a side effect to stopping Lipitor. Your memory will return. So this is a drug a person can be on 10 years and just stop. The side effects will be beneficial. He said to me, we're on our third day, and he said, I've got my wife back. He said, we are not putting her, we did not want to, but he said it was getting so difficult. And they both had tears in their eyes. How many people are in aged care with dementia and Alzheimer's and memory loss, and it's the cholesterol-lowering medication? I believe personally this verges on criminal, especially when you hear what I'm about to say. It was probably 5 years ago now at Living Springs Retreat. We had a scientist do our program with his wife, who was a nutritionist. They're both in their late 60s. She's 69. She said, I've been a nutritionist for 40 years. So she said, I was educated in university 40 years ago, and she said, 40 years ago we were told that a cholesterol level of 300 and under was perfectly normal. Has the body changed? No. So can you see what medicine has done? They've dropped the levels. They now say that if you are over 190, you're a walking, talking heart attack. I have had people say that to me. One girl was 30, her cholesterol levels were 192, and the doctor said, you've got to go on cholesterol-lowering medication. 30!
Cholesterol-lowering drugs like statins are widely prescribed, often without considering individual needs or side effects like muscle pain and memory problems. Cholesterol is vital for hormone production, cell membranes, and digestion. The focus on reducing it has overshadowed its importance. Instead of relying only on medication, lifestyle changes, cutting refined carbs, staying active, and eating healthy fats can naturally improve cholesterol.
We had a pharmacist do our program. She said, this really annoys me. She said, I know it's only a money-making scheme, because if you go on an antibiotic, you're on it for a week. If you go on cholesterol-lowering medication, how long are you told you're on it for? Life. Now, she said, I'm a pharmacist. I'm not against drugs. It's my business. But she said, this annoys me. You see, the brain needs fat. So a study was developed or started, I should say, A study was started in the little town of Framingham. In the little town of Framingham, 30,000 people were assessed. This has been going for 30 years. They started it to prove that cholesterol causes heart disease, but it hasn't. It hasn't at all. Some people with low cholesterol levels are having heart attacks. We had a lady from England do our program. She said, I had a heart attack recently and I had a cholesterol level of 150. She said they did an angiogram, my arteries were clear. What happened there? She was under great stress. You know, great stress can constrict the arteries. There are many factors that come into play, as you probably can see. But what this study showed, the Framingham Heart Study, that's what it's called, it showed that people with high cholesterol levels don't get Alzheimer's. Why don't they get Alzheimer's? Because what does the brain love? Fat. So what's a good cholesterol level? Oh, probably 200, 250. So see what's happened? They've got many people on cholesterol-lowering medication. They've got everyone on the fat-free diet, and because you're not getting the feeling of satiation or satisfaction when you eat, the person eats huge amounts of carbs. They've lowered the cholesterol level so they can get more people on cholesterol-lowering medication, and people are eating margarine. Oh, surely all of that has reduced heart disease. No, it's still the #1 killer in the industrialised nations today, neck to neck, as I said, with cancer. One has to ask why, if the cholesterol levels are high. Atkins found on his dietary program, where the people are eating cream, butter, cheese, eggs, meat, their cholesterol levels went down. Whew. He found his patients with high triglyceride levels came down. He was so excited about this, he went into the medical journals to see if there was research to prove what he was finding, and there was. In fact, in the 1980s, there was research that proved that dietary cholesterol in the food, had little or no effect on blood cholesterol levels. Atkins found, and this, you might find this interesting, he found that fibre was an essential nutrient. These are the 3 essentials. Fibre is essential. In what way is fibre essential? Our gastrointestinal tract needs to be swept every day, and it is fibre that sweeps it. Our gastrointestinal tract doesn't work without the movement. If the sewage system slows down, the whole body gets poisoned. But it is in the fibre part of the food, in your whole grain pastas, whole grain rices, breads, grains, that's where most of your B vitamins are. Once you throw the fibre away, you've thrown a lot of the essential vitamins. Atkins also found that protein is an essential nutrient. In what way is protein essential? The membrane around every cell in your body is 50% protein. Do you remember yesterday I talked about the double helix strand of the DNA, the crossword bands are amino acids. What are amino acids? Let me show you. This is protein. This is what protein looks like under a microscope. In your gastrointestinal tract, enzymes break that protein down to peptides and polypeptides. And then those peptides and polypeptides come down into your small intestine. And enzymes from your pancreas break them down into amino acids. Only as amino acids can they be then absorbed out of your hollow tube and into your blood and become part of your body. So basically, protein is made up of amino acids. I found it interesting when I read of Florence Nightingale that when she had very sick, weak patients, she would give them raw milk or beef tea. What do raw milk or beef tea contain? Both contain protein in a very simple, usable form. Your body cannot heal without protein. On a low protein diet, the body cannot heal. I've had some very sick people come to our health retreat who've been on raw food or fasting for a couple of years. They haven't had enough protein to heal. So you know what I do? I blast them with protein. My son James, he's got arms like my thighs, and he does bodybuilding and he does it only with natural food. And he actually trains quite a few people. And James is like me, very hard to put on weight. He's worked very hard at these muscles here. What does he eat? A lot of protein. Every single meal has the protein. You cannot build without the protein. Atkins also found that fat is an essential nutrient. You know what that means? We cannot function properly without it. And the membrane around every cell in the body is 50% protein, 50% fat. The membrane around the nucleus, the membrane around the ribosome, the membrane around the little mitochondria, all these little functions inside every cell in the body is 50% protein, 50% fat. Does that make it pretty essential? It does. We need to be greased and oiled. And every lady that comes here on a fat-free diet, she's got a whole bag full of moisturizers, because what's happening to her skin? It's just drying out. And it gets really dry, the moisturizers go on. How does it feel half an hour later? Same. And they say, Barbara, what do you put on your skin? I say, nothing. Nothing. Not a single cent do I spend on anything I put on my skin. But you know what I eat a nice amount of? Fat. I'd rather do that. I'd rather spend money on beautiful olive oil, beautiful coconut oil, top quality nuts and seeds, chia seeds, avocados. I'd much rather do that. I'd much rather my dollar go there. Because we like eating, don't we? And the food should taste fantastic and be of good quality. If it is, your hair will shine. If it is, the skin will work. Your eyes will see. Your ears will hear. The whole of our body is an illustration of the integrity and the strength and the nutritional value of every cell. And remember, that's what we are, just a bunch of cells. That's why we have to heal from the cellular level. Atkins found that these are three essentials, and his diet was high in them. Well, where was the fibre? His patients had to eat 3 cups of vegetables a day, and 1 cup had to be all greens. And on Thursday, we're going to look at the acid-alkaline balance, and you'll see the most alkaline food is your greens. I just saw William walk past with a big box of greens. A lot of greens go into your broth at night, and a lot of greens go into, I think it's your 12 o'clock juice, where it's cucumber, apple and greens. Highly alkalizing, as you will see.
Cholesterol is vital for producing hormones, vitamin D and bile acids, with most of it made by the liver. A balanced diet, rich in healthy fats, fiber, protein, and alkaline foods like green vegetables helps regulate cholesterol and promotes heart health. Eating unprocessed foods, along with regular exercise and avoiding smoking, can boost HDL, good cholesterol, and lower LDL, bad cholesterol, reducing heart disease risk and supporting overall well-being. And that's it again for today, guys. Thank you for joining us today as we discuss the vital role cholesterol plays in maintaining our health. If you have any questions or need further advice, please drop them in the comments below. Remember to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more valuable health tips. And as always, stay informed, stay healthy.